We finally know why Gio Reyna wasn't playing at the World Cup. If you missed the news last night, it was reported that Giovanni Reyna and Gregg Berhalter had a rift between them at the World Cup that led to Giovanni Reyna not playing at the tournament as much as he probably should have. I'm going to go through everything that we know about this situation, everything that was reported, and after that I'll give my thoughts on this. So if you're wondering, oh wow, this is a pretty huge scoop, who leaked this information? How did we find out about this? Well, Berhalter said it. Gregg Berhalter was at a leadership conference where he said at the World Cup there was a player that was nearly sent home due to attitude issues. He said this player was not meeting expectations both on and off the field, and it was so obvious that the staff were ready to just send him home. They then had a conversation with the player where he then apologized to the group and there were no longer any issues. He said that this was the best way to deal with it, as it would be a controversy to send the player home early and you would be hearing about it for 5 days straight. We are hearing about it a lot right now because he decided to disclose that information, and it did not take anybody long to realize that it was Gio Reyna. Tom Bogart was the first to report it, but it seemed pretty obvious. In response to this, Gregg Berhalter said the player who it wasn't important, and the important thing was that the team had standards. Berhalter later added that this presentation was supposed to be off the record. An Athletic article soon added to the information about the situation. I'm using information from that, plus a CBS and ESPN article. Every link is going to be in the description. And in a behind-closed-doors friendly, a lack of effort shown by Reyna was just extreme. It was unclear if he was trying to prevent injury or if he was just disappointed he wasn't starting against Wales. This escalated after he was not subbed on during the Wales game, where he purportedly threw his shin guards, and this was a time where Berhalter said that he went with Jordan Morris instead of Reyna for his speed and power, adding that Reyna had some tightness, and Reyna said he was 100%, and Tyler Adams said after the match that Reyna was ready to play against Wales, and he was optimistic that Reyna could make an impact against England. In a post-Wales training session, the lack of effort continued, prompting veterans including DeAndre Yedlin and Aaron Long to pull him aside and ask him to show more effort. The situation became too volatile and it had to be addressed multiple times. In the conversation with Berhalter, Gio Reyna apologized to the coaches, then the leadership group. There's a reported U.S. Leadership Council. I know that Aaron Long, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, Tim Ream, DeAndre Yedlin, and in the past, Zach Steffen have been reportedly part of it. I think everybody who's been given the captain's armband at least once. I'm not sure exactly who that group is, though. Those players then aired their grievances with Reyna, and Reyna then apologized to the rest of the team. Gregg Berhalter said that there were no longer any issues with Reyna, though Yedlin's comments after the Netherlands game about culture and how if guys don't fit the system or fit the team, they won't be there in the future, and that suggests that things aren't perfect. In addition, Jason McIntyre reports that there was a vote to keep Reyna on the team, and that vote was 13-12 to keep Reyna. I should mention that around this time, Eric Wynalda said that Berhalter lied to the media and wanted Reyna to go along with it, plus there was strife within the team. Before the Iran game, Gregg Berhalter said that he did not make Reyna lie, and Wynalda walked back to his claim, meaning that I don't think we take that too seriously. And after this, Reyna played the last few minutes against England, missed the Iran game, and played the last half against the Netherlands. Reyna's agent responded to this claim, saying that Reyna obviously did not have the experience that he hoped for. The situation was more complicated than it was being reported, and it was disappointing and disrespectful for certain parties to be commenting on private matters publicly, especially to do it without the full knowledge and facts and in a self-serving manner, and they wanted to not comment on it further to keep driving the team against itself. At this moment, that appears to be everything that we know about the situation, everything that has been reported on and is out there. So now on to what I personally feel about this situation, and the first thing is, why did Gregg Berhalter give up this information? He said that he didn't intend for it to be public, but he said this at a conference and the story was published. There was an edit that says it was supposed to be behind closed doors, but it's still up, and I can't imagine that he expected this to just blow over, and, he just threw a 20-year-old under the bus, and to be doing that, I feel like he's just being a bad person. In terms of Reyna's lack of effort, I want to bring up that he has been injured in a U.S. jersey multiple times, and taking it easy in some random friendly before the World Cup isn't anything new. It was behind closed doors, so we can't know exactly what was going on, but I think there was likely some frustration about not starting, but I don't think things were that bad until after the Wales game. I think at that point things boiled over after playing Jordan Morris over him and the coach lying about his injury status, and that's when the lack of effort became really pronounced. That seems to be when the players started pulling him aside, and that's when the last conversation with him and the vote happened. My guess is that Reyna didn't take a pre-World Cup friendly seriously due to his injury history, and Berhalter decided to bench him for it, potentially costing us 2 points against Wales, as his replacement was a bum. After that, Reyna responded poorly, and he really played bad throughout the rest of the tournament. And given that Berhalter brought this up, Yedlin's post-game comments, I think there is still bad blood. And I want to just add in that I don't know, but I'd personally ignore Eric Wynalda's claims. They still aren't backed up. It is interesting to see that the culture got this bad. I guess the leadership council thing failed. I'm a little bit disappointed in all the veteran players in the team. I guess Aaron Long couldn't help fix the situation. DeAndre Yedlin didn't end up helping with his previous World Cup experience. And Christian Roldan really didn't help with the vibes at all, I guess. The veterans were brought in to help the team, just end up making things worse. And between this and John Brooks, I think we can conclude that Gregg Berhalter has as little talent with man management as he does tactics. I want to say that it is interesting that Tyler Adams said he was optimistic Reyna would feature against England. He was either on his side or just being a good leader publicly, unlike the players who are older than him. Between this, the vote, and another athletic report claiming that Berhalter would struggle to get the respect of European-based players, and they're already questioning his selection criteria, makes me believe that there's a possibility the locker room was divided and the culture of the team was really not that good. And I don't know, I just seem to guess that, but it seems to be the case now. And I think it doesn't help that what Berhalter does when the chips are down, he benched his favorite Walker Zimmerman in a must-win game when they were down against the Netherlands. He did play Reyna. It is kind of interesting, the two sides that he seems to have. It should be obvious that I'm on Reyna's side. Was he immature? Yes. Do I care that a teenager wasn't a perfect teammate? No. He'll get better, and I'm honestly a bit mad at the team for letting the situation get to the point. What was the point of having Aaron Long, DeAndre Yedlin, and Christian Roldan there if it wasn't to deal with this specific situation? Players have bad reaction to coaching decisions all the time. A good coach deals with it. A good teammate deals with it. It's a part of the job. And that fire in Gio Reyna is a big reason why so many of us like him. This is a failure of Gregg Berhalter, and it potentially cost us going further at the World Cup. I'm still in the Berhalter out camp. I've really been in that since the start of this channel. You can check my first US video. I really think this just hurts his overall legacy. I seriously believe he's only better than probably Steve Sampson in the modern US soccer era, and who knows if that would be the case if Sampson had Berhalter's talent available. It's honestly, this stuff makes me dislike Berhalter as, a person, not just a coach, and, I feel like he was the wrong guy to guide these young players. He just feels like a bad influence. In between Reyna, Hoppy, Miazga, and Brooks, he's really failed to deal with contrasting personalities. And as our good players get older, you have to imagine some of them will develop into defined leaders. And I don't think Berhalter can deal with that. He honestly seems to remind me of, an Urban Meyer or a Bobby Petrino, where, it works fine in college, but once you go to the NFL, things really don't work out. So, in conclusion, I'm not really concerned about Reyna. If this continues to be a problem throughout the next cycle, we can talk about it, but I really don't care about a 20-year-old being immature, and Berhalter should be fired, and I think it's been shown that he was the wrong choice to guide our young team forward. And yeah, that's all I've talked about. I'll Might update this if the situation keeps developing, but I don't see much changing in regards to this. And yeah, so I'll talk about. See ya.